long time for me not filming a video, just in general. So first of all, hello everyone, how are you guys? What's up? I'm just enjoying my cup of coffee as my baby is sleeping. So we're gonna have to put up with some slurping. And we never know when he may wake up, so you know, it is what it is. So yeah. I've been contemplating making this video for a while now, and I've also been like thinking about, just in general, you know, about what I believe in, what my path is, and this has been going on for like at least a few years now. And then I also I got pregnant, had my son, so those are all like big things that kind of affect you in a big way, whether either want it or not. So a lot of things that made me kind of rethink what I practice, what is it actually that I believe. And first of all, let me say, I know that this probably isn't interesting to anyone anyways, but if it happens to be interesting to you, you know, grab a cup of coffee, sit with me, whatever. And I've also been thinking, like, why do I feel like I need to make this video? It's not like I have to explain anything to anyone. This is my spiritual path. This is my, you know, my craft. But it's not about anyone else, but about me. I just feel like I have to communicate this. And also, honestly, it would be really nice to find people who kind of share my views or whatever, or beliefs or whatever, just to, you know, for it to not feel as lonely, I guess. But we'll see, whatever. I've actually been really anxious about making this video, and I didn't think I would be, but the more I postponed it, the more anxious I would get. I even had nightmares about this, about like talking about Wicca and, you know, revisiting Wicca and following this path again, and how like this whole big backlash happened, and like so many mean comments, and you know, and this was my nightmare. So we'll see how it goes, you know, whatever. So I don't even know like if this is gonna make any sense to anyone, but I just want to talk about it. So as I said, like, I had my son and all of that stuff, and I've been kind of thinking about this for a long time, like prior to even getting pregnant. You know, just kind of doing some spiritual inventory, so to speak, like thinking about what I'm doing, where I'm going, what do I believe, what do I practice, and stuff like that. And I'm a very nostalgic person, and I started kind of rereading the first books that I ever got on the craft, on paganism, on Wicca and all of that stuff. And what I realized is that it made sense to me, more so now than it did before. Also, excuse the mess, this is just the reality of having a small child, and you know, whatever. What was I saying? Yeah, so even more so, it makes sense now to me than it did before. Like, for example, I never really, and you know, many of you might say, oh wow, you're so stupid, like how did you not notice, or how did you, yeah, whatever, like, you know, but this is just, I'm just talking real, okay? So like, what is it, like 15 years now? 15 years ago that I started on this path, and like many others started with Wicca because it was most accessible. I didn't understand many things, and I didn't even really, I was so young, I didn't really care, to be completely honest. Like, I didn't really ask myself, like, is this actually something that I believe? Is like, what does the threefold law mean? What does the wheel of the year mean? Is this something that actually makes sense? And it's really cool to see many people today, many practitioners actually revisiting the idea of the wheel of the year and the Sabbats, or whatever you want to call them, and kind of really thinking on it, you know. So as I said, I never really and I have some notes here, so sorry, I'm gonna look down a few times. Yeah, so I never really kind of explored that in the proper way, to be honest, and I never really understood it. So when I jumped the wagon, so to speak, it was because it didn't give me any depth at that time, and because I didn't understand it, I didn't even try. And this is my experience. So as a witch, there are so many different paths, there are so many different practices, so many different belief systems, so many different gods, goddesses, spirits, whatever. It's a lot. And for me, for my ADHD brain, it was like, fuck, I want to know everything, I want to learn everything. It was just like, it feels like it was just like jumping from one thing to the other. And also social media doesn't help, because I feel like whatever is trending right now is what you should be practicing, or whatever. And I'm not, no judgment to anyone, like, you do whatever the fuck you want to do and what you feel is right for you. But like, for example, like folk witchcraft, that's the trending thing right now, and just like Wicca was back in the day, so to speak. And I feel like many people are not really kind of reflecting upon themselves, like what they are practicing, and if this is something that they actually believe and is in sync with their own morals, and does it feel good for you? Does it enrich your life? That is the main thing for me right now. Does it support me? Does it enrich my life? Does it make me happy? Because, you know, this trend of shadow work all the time is just unhealthy, honestly. Like, constantly just, you know, doing dark shit and like diving into our own darkness, and yay, it's really, you know, rock on type of shit. And like, this is coming from someone who has done her fair share of, you know, shadow work and working with, my matron goddess is Morrigan, and like, I have my fair share of working with the darkness. But I need some balance. I need something that helps me stay in balance, especially as a mom now. It's really taxing, and there's really not that much time to actually spend practicing. So even taking time of my day to make this video is, you know, just says that it really means something to me, and that I really kind of hope to find some people who kind of maybe are also following the path of Wicca at the moment, or are revisiting it, or just want to discuss it. So yeah, and I didn't really talk about this with any of my friends yet, just because it's been such a personal process. So it might seem ridiculous to put it out on, like, in public, but it's also kind of, you know, it's not like I'm talking to a person like sitting next to me. It's a different process. So yeah, as I said, like, I used to just not really dive into it, and right now I did, with as little time as I have, I did, and I, you know, in the past videos, I know I talked about, you know, curses and hexes, and how that is something that I support or whatever, and honestly, still, like, I still believe in balance. I believe that you do you as a witch. no one can tell you what to do. Like, you do whatever you feel is right for you. And in the same way, I also feel like as witches, we carry a great responsibility, and it is about owning up to your own stuff, and you do, in the end of the day, pay for whatever you are doing, so to speak. And in the way that I've explored the threefold law now, and back in the day it was just like, oh yeah, whatever you put out like comes back to you times 3, and that never made really sense. That really never made sense to me. But I've been exploring it in a sense of, so like what you do in your thoughts, words, and actions affects what you will receive. And that makes sense because what I learned from my experiences, practicing my whole life basically, is that whatever magic you do affects you first. It changes you first, because you are the vessel for this energy to go forth, so to speak. So whatever you do, whether that's helpful or harmful, will affect you first. It might not seem like that in right away, but it does. If you just keep on, it's the same way as like if you just keep on like watching horror movies or whatever, it affects you. If you just keep on watching romances, it affects you. And I'm not saying one of these is better than the other. I'm just saying that this balance and awareness is very important, and as a witch, it's just more important. So it also speaks to me in terms of, you know, if you are working on yourself, on empowering yourself as a witch, that means you carry even a greater responsibility for all of these 3 things. So your thoughts, your words, and your actions, because all of these 3 will and can affect the world around you, because you have been working on yourself, you have been, you know, building your strength, you've been training your abilities, so to speak. And if you are a practicing witch for a while, then you know that this is true. At least in my experience. As I said, this is just my experience, my opinions, of course. You don't have to agree with this. And also, one thing I want to say is that I know that all of this, what I'm saying, is not necessarily going to align with what another Wiccan would believe, or what traditional Wicca believes, or whatever. But I'm just saying that what I realized is that Wicca is something that I most associate with, most like find myself within, not necessarily following everything to a T. So just wanted to put that out there. So that, yeah, that's one thing, the threefold law, the responsibility, and also just seeing how all of that affects me in different ways, you know, like experiment for yourself, see for yourself. That's the best way to find your own path and your own beliefs, I guess, your own truths. I also found that I really enjoy this sort of a, I don't know, it gives me some sort of structure and some sort of a stability. Especially, you know, as I mentioned before, like jumping from one thing to another and not really growing roots in one practice. This has been really grounding in a way, and really helpful in many different ways for me. It helped me find deeper meaning in like simple stuff and in basics, as I mentioned before. Working with, you know, like exploring the threefold law, exploring the witch's pyramid even, that has been like a really beneficial, is the right word? Yeah. Beneficial thing for me lately. All of that kind of helps me, give me structure, gives me stability, as I mentioned before. So yeah, and I just feel like coming home to myself, to be completely honest. Like finding what actually makes me feel good, what actually means something to me, and little things like just spending time in nature, communing with spirits of the trees, of the waters, of, you know, these really, really basic things that I feel like I've kind of stopped doing because I was chasing the hype. Like I was chasing this unattainable knowledge, unattainable wisdom, unattainable information, because there's so much. Wanting to know it all, wanting to, you know, I don't know, impress someone, I don't even know. And with all that, I feel like I've lost that connection to a certain degree with the basic stuff that gives me the most, actually. And now, like, being now almost 11 months postpartum, it has given me enough time to not have time to for elaborate stuff and for elaborate research, but to instead find magic in simple things, everyday things, and cooking a meal and cleaning up the home and going for a walk and spending, you know, mindful time with my kid, and, you know, meditating just for a few minutes when I have time to, like, just sit down and breathe instead of, you know, chasing the next thing. And, you know, it also helped to just, like, stay away from social media, like from Facebook and Instagram specifically. I still watch YouTube, I just don't have it on my phone. I don't have any social media apps on my phone, except the, like, messenger apps, because I like to stay in touch with people. But I digress. Yeah, I feel like it feels like, this is gonna be a cliche thing, but it feels like coming home again. And it feels good, it feels like nourishing, it feels peaceful, simple. And that's what I need, and that's what gives me the most, at least right now. And honestly, one thing that I've really also just kind of been sick of is, you know, this whole social media drama thing, people policing other people's practices, and, you know, this is cultural appropriation, this is that, this is this, you shouldn't be using this. Like, who are you, even, first of all? Do I know you? Do you know me? No, you don't. Maybe you've watched a couple of my videos, maybe you've been following me on Instagram, but you don't know me as a person. You don't know who I am, you don't know where I come from, you don't know my family, you don't know my legacy, you don't know anything. I'm sick of that. Like, you can tell that I'm getting pissed off. I'm tired of that stuff. Like, and I'm not talking about when people are actually, like, benefiting, and even that, when people are selling their product. Again, you don't know who Cindy is, even if she's as white as a wall. Not my wall, apparently, but you know what I'm trying to say? You don't know that. I'm sick of these assumptions, and I'm sick of this bullying and mocking, and, you know, oh, you know, look at them, they're like, and I did this too. Like, I've done this shit, okay? I'm not trying to be, like, better than everyone, but I'm just saying that I'm sick of it. From others and from myself. Like, you do you, okay? You do you. It makes you happy, if it helps you be a better person in this world today, you do it, okay? If it doesn't harm anyone, you do it. Who cares? Honestly. Whew. Okay. Sorry, but that's been, like, a really annoying thing, and that's been something that's really made it hard for people to share their own practices, their own explorations. Like, I feel like today, whenever you're making some content, you're supposed to just know everything and already, like, mastered it. I miss the times where we actually made videos and talked about something new that we tried, and maybe it failed, maybe it was a success, but it didn't really matter because we were just excited to share these things. I miss that, okay? And I feel like it's become really hard to share in such a genuine way because of that, because people are just like poking sticks at you and analyzing and, you know, thinking that they have any right to judge you. And I know, you put yourself out there, you're gonna, you know, you're putting it in public, people are gonna do what people are gonna do. And it's just been easier for bullies to bully since they don't have to face a person, you know? And that's also been just horrifying. People, since social media has become a thing, people have just allowed all of their nastiness to just come forward. Nobody knows how to face a person anymore. Sorry, I'm just going on tangent after tangent, am I? So, yeah, I'm just kind of sick of that stuff and all this like constant arguing between people. It just kind of leaves me feeling, as I said, like kind of sad and isolated and lonely, because as I said, it makes it really hard to share personal experiences. And my own opinion is that even if you take from a bunch of different cultures and practices, it is your own personal path, okay? It is your own personal path. Who in this world has a right to tell you what is right for you? Do they feel your emotions? Do they know your thoughts? Do they live in your body? Do they live your life? No. Just, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only person who thinks like this. I don't know. But I just had to get it out of the system. Yeah, so I think that we have all forgotten just to simplify things and to be a bit humble as well, and have some respect for yourself and for other people. Like, these are living beings, okay? Just have some respect. If nothing else, like, keep your tongue behind your teeth, we would say. If you have nothing constructive to say, or if someone hasn't asked your opinion, like, please shut up. Do your thing. Devote that time and that energy to your own practice instead. And you will see how enriching it can be. Instead of, you know, spending all that time and energy on hating on people, on analyzing other people, on commenting on other people's videos just to be rude and just to judge them and tell them how you know what is best for them. That is just ridiculous, okay? And it just makes you more miserable, because again, the threefold law is the same thing. I feel like that applies to not just your spell working or rituals, it applies on how you live your life every day, okay? And taking responsibility, as I said before, for your thoughts, for your words, for your deeds. And the way you practice magic is the same way you live your life. And whatever you do will affect you, will change you first. So, yeah, just be mindful of that. See how it changes your life. See how you can actually enjoy this beautiful life more. If you are blessed enough to have, you know, roof over your head and food to eat and family and love and, you know, I know there are horrible things out there in the world today. You don't have to tell me. But it's ridiculous how it makes us more hateful instead of making us more grateful for what we actually do have. This is another topic that I could just like dive into, but I'm not, because this video is already like almost half an hour long. But you know, and I have to turn off this like following thing, whatever. Bear with me, I'm just trying out this new tripod thing. Oh, and my kid is gonna wake up, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up anyways. So yeah, he's waking up. So anyways, as I said a lot of different things, things. Basically, my main thing is I'm coming back to Wicca. It's actually still kind of hard to say I'm a Wiccan, just because there is a part of me that is really afraid. Completely, like being completely honest, like really afraid of hate, just because there's so much of that, and you know, judgments and but at the same time, like I don't have to like stand before anyone and explain myself to anyone except before my God and my goddess, and that's it. So I'm sending all of you many blessings, and I do invite you to share your opinions in the comments, and I do want to hear from you, and I do want to hear if anyone is revisiting Wicca or practicing Wicca or thinking about it or wants to talk about it, or like I really would love to like discuss different like things more in terms of not necessarily like spell work and rituals as like the things that I used to focus on like 15 years ago, but more about like the philosophy of, you know, as I said, of the witch's pyramid and all of that stuff. And yes, I know this is not some ancient stuff. I know Gerald Gardner invented it, whatever. What does it matter? Everything was invented at some point by a human being, you know, when it comes to culture and stuff like that, okay? It is how we make sense of the world. But what does it matter if it's new or if it's ancient? If it has meaning for me, and if it works for me, and if it helps improve my life and makes my magic work. What does it, you know, what does it matter? So anyways, if you want to talk about these things, like comment down below. You can find me on Instagram, but I'm not on Instagram. Like, I really hate to go on there, to be honest. It's just nasty. So yeah, comment down below. Maybe we can connect in some other way. Maybe through Discord, that would be kind of cool. But yeah, I'll see. I'll have to think about it. So yeah, it would be cool to have like a little Wiccan community thing going on. So yeah, sorry for the long video. I haven't done a video in a very long time, and yeah, I have to go. Oh, he's asleep again. Okay, but yeah, I have to wrap up this video anyways. So yeah, many blessings to all of you, and I'll see you in the next video, maybe. Bye!